Lewis Hamilton's rise to the pinnacle of Formula One is nothing short of legendary. With 7 World Drivers' Championships under his belt, Hamilton's dominance, particularly in the hybrid era that began in 2014, solidified his place among the sport's all-time greats. His decision to join Mercedes in 2013, which initially seemed risky given the team's unproven track record, turned out to be a masterstroke. Mercedes, under the new V6 turbo hybrid regulations, built a car that was not only powerful but also perfectly tailored to Hamilton's aggressive yet precise driving style. However, the 2022 season marked a turning point. The introduction of new aerodynamic regulations by the FIA and the engine development freeze have posed significant challenges for Mercedes. The team, once the benchmark for performance, found themselves struggling to keep up with the rapidly advancing Red Bull, led by Max Verstappen. The shift in the competitive landscape forced Hamilton and Mercedes into a position of chasing rather than leading, a stark contrast to their previous dominance. The uncertainty over the new power unit specifications, which were originally planned for 2022, prompted the sport's governing body to freeze powertrain development that year. In a bid to improve overtaking opportunities, the FIA took a bold step by overhauling the aerodynamic rules for 2022, effectively reducing the downforce generated by the car's bodywork by half. This significant change was designed to minimize the disruptive, dirty air that made it difficult for cars to follow closely behind their competitors. With the ultimate goal of fostering closer and more competitive racing, the FIA brought back a concept known as ground effect, which allows airflow beneath the car to make up for the downforce lost from the front and rear wings, a technique briefly utilized by teams in the late 80s and 90s. Historically, ground effect cars required drivers to be positioned further forward than usual, a change that didn't sit well with Hamilton, who voiced his discontent in both 2022 and the subsequent season. When Mercedes unveiled their 2023 car, Lewis didn't hold back his thoughts on the design. "We're sitting closer to the front wheels than any other driver," Hamilton remarked. "Our cockpit is too close to the front." However, upon closer inspection, there was minimal difference between the Mercedes design and the dominant Red Bull RB19, challenging the perception that this positioning was a significant disadvantage. Lewis Hamilton describes a unique and uncomfortable feeling when driving a car that gives the sensation of sitting directly on the front wheels. He explains that this experience is far from ideal, especially for a professional driver. "If you imagine driving your own car with the wheels positioned right underneath your legs, the discomfort and difficulty in controlling the vehicle become apparent. This configuration alters how the car handles, making it harder to predict its movements, especially in scenarios like approaching a roundabout. The closer positioning to the front changes the car's dynamics, making it feel less stable and more challenging to manage, compared to a setup where the driver sits further back, closer to the car's center." Hamilton highlights this struggle as a significant issue, affecting his ability to perform at his best on the track. A closer look at the early versions of F1 ground effect cars reveals that drivers were positioned even further forward than in today's designs. Interestingly, the Mercedes design in 2022 and 2023 only had their drivers sitting slightly further forward compared to the dominant Red Bull, highlighting that the car's layout wasn't the real issue. Adapting to the new regulations was. As the 2022 season unfolded, it became evident that the drivers needed to adjust their driving styles to suit the new cars. The design wasn't holding Hamilton back, it was his difficulty in adapting to the new driving demands. This was starkly illustrated when George Russell, with far less experience, outperformed the 7-time world champion in their first season together as teammates. Russell finished a significant 35 points ahead of Hamilton in the final standings, clearly showing he had adapted to the new F1 era more swiftly than his veteran teammate. Lewis now acknowledges that he's had to adjust his driving style to suit the new generation of F1 cars, conceding that his earlier criticisms of the team's design might have been somewhat exaggerated. His initial frustrations seem to have stemmed more from the challenge of adapting to the new dynamics than from any significant flaw in the car itself. Lewis Hamilton reflects on the challenges he's faced while trying to maintain his driving style despite the difficulties he's encountered. He acknowledges that his usual approach doesn't always yield the desired results, leading him to adjust and find a balance. Hamilton describes this process as massaging his way through the issues, but admits that it hasn't been entirely successful so far. He emphasizes the importance of adaptability as a driver, recognizing that sometimes the methods that worked in the past may not be effective in the current context. As a driver, it's crucial to hold on to the core elements that have made him successful, while also evolving and adjusting those techniques to meet new challenges. challenges. This process of evolution is essential for continuing to achieve success, even when faced with unexpected obstacles. Lewis Hamilton expresses the belief that a skilled driver should be capable of driving any vehicle, regardless of the challenges it presents. He acknowledges that while all drivers have the ability to adapt, some are better at handling difficult situations than others. The ability to quickly adjust to new conditions varies from person to person, with some drivers adapting rapidly, while others may need more time to find their footing. This adaptability is crucial in the highly competitive world of racing, where the ability to quickly respond to changing circumstances can make a significant difference in performance. In recent weekends, Hamilton has made a strong comeback this season, now leading his teammate with 234 points to 175. While the gap is wider than it might have been, thanks in part to Mercedes' oversight that left George's car underweight at the Belgium Grand Prix, costing him a win, Lewis's resurgence is undeniable. With victories in 2 of the last 3 Grand Prix, Hamilton seems to have finally found his groove with the new ground effect F1 cars, showing the form that made him a champion. For an experienced driver, adapting to a new driving style when faced with a fresh challenge can be particularly difficult. However, Fernando Alonso demonstrated remarkable adaptability during the 2023 F1 season by embracing a new driving style, which led to an impressive 6 podium finishes in the first 7 races. This showcases the level of skill and flexibility required at the highest levels of motorsport. As for Lewis Hamilton, his future move to Ferrari will present him with a significant challenge. He will need to quickly adapt to the unique driving characteristics of the cars designed by Maranello. This transition comes at a time when Ferrari is struggling to maintain its position as a top contender. After starting the year as the main challenger to Red Bull, Ferrari has faced a slump, making Hamilton's task even more daunting. His ability to adjust to these new circumstances will be crucial in determining his success with the Italian team. Currently, it's McLaren and Mercedes that have emerged as the closest rivals to Red Bull, with McLaren showing real potential to challenge for the constructors' title as the season progresses. This shift in the competitive landscape has left Ferrari struggling to keep up, putting them on the back foot. For Hamilton, this could be a critical factor in his decision to leave Mercedes for Ferrari, possibly driven by frustration over his current team's lack of development. However, this move to Ferrari might not yield the results Hamilton is hoping for. Ferrari's current struggles could mean that Hamilton's switch could be more of a gamble than a guaranteed success. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's young star, is seen as the heir apparent to Hamilton's dominance in F1. If Ferrari can provide the right car, Leclerc could be the one to take over the mantle, making Hamilton's move to Maranello a potential precursor to the twilight of his illustrious career. The pressure is on for Hamilton to adapt quickly and prove that his decision to join Ferrari was the right one, despite the risks involved. Do you think Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari will reignite his dominance in F1, or could it mark the beginning of the end for his illustrious career? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.